Had you ever thought in your wildest dream that the candidate carousel would spin up this soon? To be fair, right after the election, obviously, we had the ongoing counting. New candidates were beginning to develop. We had the announcement by President Trump. But here we are. The candidate carousel is back in business on the congressional level. And my guest, Michael Corbin, is a candidate for Congress in Georgia's 7th District. So Corbin 4, the number 4congress.com is the website. Michael, kudos to you for getting right into the fight.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Actually getting back into the fight, and appreciate you having me on, David. But time goes quick. I learned from the last time running that even though you announce, the time between when you announce and when the primaries come up, it collapses very quickly on you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a very short time window over some long months, as a friend of mine used to say. So let's talk, what you're doing in this round and, what has evolved in your platform when you look at your district, Georgia 7, to your voters. Let's talk about that.
Definitely. And, my district is very near and dear to me, and that's why I ran. So I've lived in this district, which is, the greater Gwinnett County part of Georgia, which is, northern suburbs of Atlanta. The boundaries were redrawn in 2022, which prompted Lucy McBath to jump from the 6th to the 7th, who I'd be going against, obviously. The issues that we face here in this district are, a lot, it's the same as most people are facing in other districts. What I'm trying to do is really become, a different type of Republican candidate, right? I have a very conservative vision, but we need Republicans out there really, selling the product, right? We have a superior product, and we don't have enough people out there selling that in tight districts, those purple districts. So, I look to do that. In my last primary that I did lose in a runoff, which was kind of an odd situation. So I'd actually won 42% in a 5 candidate race, but given the Georgia election laws, that constituted a runoff, which was, not very vocalized or advertised, and the local GOP was really behind my opponent, who ended up winning in the runoff. Faced a lot of opposition from my own party here locally. Some of that being because, I wouldn't say it's a race thing. My wife is African American, but she is a Democrat. So a lot of people labeled me a rhino, which is not true. I've always been conservative. My wife is a Democrat, so a lot of them said, that I was infiltrating the GOP, but I wasn't. And, the overarching theme that I got out of it is that the people of this district, the Republican Party, even though we have open primaries, saw me as the leading candidate. Unfortunately, we get stuck into a runoff where that really gets run by the local GOP. And what we end up with is a candidate that's not really going to be best positioned in our district to win, which that was shown in November of this past year, where, we lost about 70-30.
So let's talk about the votes in the district for a moment, and then we'll go back to some of the other policy positions and what matters in that district, how you win, the path to victory. And granted, yes, we're early, as I said, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but in reality, the candidate carousel is running again. When I look at the numbers of votes, just broad numbers on total Republican votes versus total Democrat votes, if you will, the numbers still favor the Democrats. It's not overwhelming, right? You're talking about a less than 10,000 vote difference of voters who show up. But If the difference is less than 10,000 and the total is still under 100,000, that's a problem in that district, and that's a problem across the country. It's not unique to Georgia 7th when a small amount of the population makes the decision for the rest.
Absolutely. And, one of those factors, I would say the biggest factor in terms of getting people, number one, to the polls, trying to create some sort of energy within the party, which is huge. But what I think a lot of at the local level, and again, I keep going back to the local level because it becomes a problem in a lot of these races, is that there's no vision to expand the party. And the candidates that we bring in don't understand that there are people that are independents, people that have flipped, that want to hear a different message. And you don't have to compromise your conservative values, but you don't also have to berate people with fear